Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for blessing us once again, give us the tawfiq to attend such blessed gatherings. One question we have to really ask ourselves, over the last week or even before our blessed teacher left to go to Turkey, they emphasized the importance of these blessed days and nights. And as an individual, I should be actually asking myself this question. Nearly half of them days and nights have passed. How much have I really benefited from them? Am I actually living the life exactly as I was before these days? Or did I really make some plan and bring some changes into my life? Even like today, one of the clips on the Facebook, it was mentioned that, this is such a month that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His fazl and mercy, when a believer, who falls short, even he's committing the kabira sins, not the sagira sin, the kabira sin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His fazl and mercy, if this servant turns towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in repentance and tawbah, out of His fazl and mercy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not only can forgive that person, but turn his kabira sins into kabira good deeds. So not even into small good deeds. So this is the blessings of these days and nights. So really, we have a few days and nights left. If we haven't managed to benefit from them, then we should put a plan in place so we can actually do benefit. Like Imam Qais, and it was really quite sad, after our blessed teacher emphasizing really the retreat that passed this weekend, it was for me and you. It wasn't really for new people as such, it was for us to actually rectify our journeys and rebuild our lost energy, and so we can actually traverse through the rest of the year with a bit of power and a bit of strength. But suddenly, as we saw, the turnout wasn't as it really should have been. But really, because you have to learn from these things. Because sometimes, people cannot take time off work, and they have genuine excuses. But sometimes they have to ask themselves, so if I didn't go to the retreat this weekend, what did I really do from Friday? And it wasn't even like a full retreat as such. It was from Friday Asr, which is the Majlis anyway, and it was till Sunday Fajr. So ask ourselves, what did we actually do in that time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us an opportunity to benefit from that gathering? So just as a learning curve, obviously I remind always to myself, grab these opportunities. So we don't sadden our teacher. We don't sadden them that they've spent 15 years on us and we don't even know ABC. So this was really what that retreat was about, that at least some of you might still not know the ABC, but at least learn the ABC and then start actually applying it into our lives. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala firstly give me the tawfiq and all of us to actually really weekly, like we do of Muraqabah, all of you are familiar with that, inshallah. So our Honorable Ustad will begin us off with the askars, and when they go silent after reciting certain verses from the Quran. So this is the time when we actually go into the process of cleansing, so for about 10 to 15 minutes or so. And then after that, for a similar amount of time until the Ustad Sahib concludes the Muraqabah. But those who obviously can, whenever you can transfer, sometimes, some are able to transfer even while the Ustad is actually doing the askars at the beginning. So don't hold yourself back, just let yourself flow. And then most important thing after is actually relay your experience. So every one of you here either has an experience or either doesn't have any experience. So there's something that's happening to every one of us. So really, it shouldn't be the case if the mic comes to you and you say, no, no, no. So really, you, the person, really that should be saying, I need to mention something. for your own benefit, really, not for anybody else's benefit. Because what will happen, you will be given advice, and we've seen over the weeks that you are given advice which will lift you up from the misconception you might have, or any misunderstandings. And also an opportunity, obviously, those who have an experience to share, and especially anybody who receives any nasiyah, which is sometimes a form of amana, opportunity will be given for yourselves as well, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. There was in the olden days, I want you to cast your mind, go back maybe 100 years ago or even longer. There was a person in a village. He wanted to travel a journey which is about a week's journey by foot. In those days they had no cars, and this person wasn't so wealthy that he could come to acquire a horse or anything like this. So he decided that I shall walk all the way. That is the only convenience that I have. So he went, packed up whatever provisions that he had for the 7 days of travel, and he gathered, knotted the cloth, and then started walking on his journey. A long journey, as you can imagine. One day went, he stopped, he ate, took rest, carried on. He ventured into the woods, into the woody area, woody jungle area. It was quite a dense wood area. He went in there, another day had passed, and he's realizing his provision is getting low now. His food is getting less, and he's only been 2 days on safar. Eventually, as he's coming to an end of the woods, there was a house. From the distance he could see a house, and there was an old lady. And to his surprise, in the middle of the woods, it's nearly come to end. Why would a person be living here anyhow? So this lady, she was waving, seemed like she was waving. He didn't know what it was for, so he thought he'd do the courteous thing. She was waving towards him, so maybe she needed some help. So he walks towards her quite hurriedly, thinking she may be of need of something. So he went there, he saw that she was an old lady, elder lady. And he politely asked her, "Yes, my mother, is everything okay? Is everything fine? Do you need any help?" or anything like that. She said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm on a journey. I'm actually going to such and such a place. There's a few more days' journey left." She said, "All right, okay. But do you need anything?" He was asking, "Do you need any help? Are you okay? You seem to be alone." She goes, No, you're a musafir, aren't you?" He said, "Yes, I am." "So why not take some rest? Stay here, have some rest. But before you rest, what you can do is that they have a bakri, there is sheep there. You can slaughter that sheep, and I'll go and cook that for you." He goes, No, there's no need for you to do that. I got a long journey left. She goes, "No, please, I insist. I called you all the way here. You now rest. I will now prepare the sheep. As soon as you do qurbani of the sheep, I will then I will then cook, and you can rest, and then you can be on your way after you eat, and so on." He thought, subhanAllah, Allah SWT is so merciful that, look, my provisions are running low, and this person is now going to provide me some food. Khair, alhamdulillah, I will then slaughter the sheep. As he did that, your feet are tired, your arms are tired, carrying the sack as well with you, with your clothes and provision. You're extremely tired and thirsty, and your provision running low. So he rested, and it was a very, very nice rest. He was in very nice rest. Then the lady woke him up, saying, "Son, the food is ready now, come and eat." He thought it was going to be basic, simple food. But he actually realizes that she had prepared a feast. So much food, the one bakri, vegetables and all the different dishes. His eyes couldn't stop. He's so mesmerized by so many amount of food. But he thought, okay, I'll just have quickly some food because I have to be on my journey. So when he ate one dish, she said, here, eat this. Like any mothers would do, here, eat this. Or cow, eat more, eat more. He kept on eating it. He goes, please, old lady, please, I cannot eat it. I am so stuffed and I have to embrace Jenny. She goes, no, I have some dessert as well, so wait for me, let me go and get it. He goes, no, I really can't. He said, no, have the dessert. She gave him the dessert. Now he is so full, he cannot even move. That's how much she fed him. That because of etiquette and adab, he actually entertained her. He is now full, he can't move. She said, now rest the night, you can go tomorrow, you don't need to worry. Take your time and rest. He goes, yes, okay, with your permission, leave. I will go and rest. So he rested, woke up in the morning. She had prepared all the food that was left over. She had actually packed it all for him so they can take it with him. Everything ready. He just cannot understand. So he is about to leave. He said, may I just ask you one question? To the old lady. She said, yes, go ahead. What is it that you want to ask? I am a stranger. You do not know me. I have come from distant land where you don't even know where I am from. You without even asking. But you had provided me with such food, such hospitality, that even royalties don't actually even get this sort of treatment. Why is it that you've done this? Why is it that you actually provided this food? Why is it that you showed this hospitality? She then sighed. She said, true, I have done this and I do not know you, but what it is that when I saw you in the distance when I saw you, you remind me of my son that I used to have. He used to come from his work and used to come exactly in the same shakl and the same form. So when I saw you, because he's now gone, I just want to rekindle that moment that I used to have with him. So when you came, I used to also cook for him like this. So I want to remember that time that I had with him. So I prepared, there's food for you. This is how I used to cook food for him. So even feeding you like this, it was just remind me of the love and the time that I had with my son. And I wanted that moment to last a little bit longer. Hence I kept on telling him to sit longer. And kept on feeding you because I wanted to actually feed you and remember that time. He said, you must have loved your son very much. She said, yes, indeed I did. Then what happened? They took part and left, gave salam. She prayed for him, he prayed for her, and then they left. Now the story is not a story so that you can actually hear, but what Haji Gufam said, what the Gufam was mentioning about when something is beloved. These days are beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We hear this. These first 10 days are the most beloved days in the whole of the days of the year. These are the most beloved. Because of that love that the lady had for her son, just to see someone resembling her son, she showered him with such blessing, such hospitality, such love, such warmth. Why? Because it reminded her of her son. Similarly, because of this love that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has for these days, and if we just mimic and just imitate Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also bestow His blessing and love upon us. Just mimic him, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds him that, look, this is how my beloved used to walk, this is how my beloved used to sleep, this is how he used to speak, this is how he used to... So these are the most beloved days, and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants of us is to mimic His beloved. And if you do that, automatically His blessing will fall upon us. Automatically the blessing will fall. Whether you know it or not, automatically without even asking, all the blessings come gushing from all direction, which we cannot perceive. But me and you are not actually taking advantage. I am main culprit here. Is that what we have to ask, like Brother Gufan was saying, is that such emphasis was given year in year out, but this in such emphasis, in such a timely manner that was given by a beloved teacher, that the encouragement was given. Has my days and nights, there's been a change from what was said and what was asked of by Hazrat Sahib to me and you? Has it changed? Are we still doing the same old thing that we're doing, or have we given its due value, significance, reverence that it deserved? If, for example, like we said to you, is that to say one Subhanallah is not the same as saying this Subhanallah in other time of the year. But like if you're hearing that a person who does the kaba'ir, Allah SWT can not only forgive, but He can even change those bad deeds into good deeds. That is how merciful, and that is how much He's relenting towards His servant, saying, "Oh my servant, just do something and I will give." And we just need to exert. These are the days, like we hear, these are the days of sales. Let alone say these are the days in which we can be gifted. Whatever you want to increase your bank balance, you want to increase the balance of good deeds, you want to increase your proximity, you want to increase your provision, spiritual provision. These are the best days to do it and the best nights to do it. When these days, a person fast is equivalent to fasting for a whole year. And if every single night in these first 10 days is equivalent to Laylatul Qadr. In other words, like our beloved teacher mentioned, is that a whole lifetime, one night is equivalent to one lifetime of ibadah. Average 80 years or so of ibadah is being. Now what we're doing, we're sleeping. What we're doing, we're eating. What we're doing, we're wasting our time on internet. We should really be thinking, am I giving? Because I am as my servant thinks I am. The way we need to give its due value. If we show the significance, Allah SWT will also give you the same back, if not more, always more. So inshallah, bear that in mind, is that these are blessed days and blessed nights. We should try our best to imitate as best as possible, especially in imitation the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, especially imitating the Hujjaj if we can. Whatever goodness that we can do, the technique that was mentioned about carrying on trying to do that until you acquire it, or resisting that trait until it goes away from your life. That is the whole process that we mentioned the weekend. So may Allah SWT was allowed to do that. Jazakumullah jaza. Inshallah, now if you like to divert your minds towards Allah SWT, think that Allah SWT is with me, He's seeing me, He's hearing me. Inshallah, He's bringing the presence of Allah SWT into your heart and mind. Now just repeat after me. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Astaghfirullah. 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 الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه اللهم يا ربي بجاه نور وجهك الكريم وبفضلك العظيم اجمع بيننا وبينك في الدنيا قبل الآخرة اللهم يا ربي بجاه سيدنا محمد ابن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم اجمع بيننا وبين سيدنا محمد ابن عبد الله في الدنيا قبل الآخرة اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه في كل لمحة ونفس عدد ما وسعه علم الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا معبود إلا الله لا مشهود إلا الله لا مسجود إلا الله لا محبوب إلا الله لا مطلوب إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
कमली वाले मोहम्मद محمد تو صدقے میں جاؤں، کملی والے محمد تو صدقے میں جاؤں، جن آ کے غریباں دی باں پھڑ لئی، جن آ کے غریباں دی باں پھڑ لئی، میری بخشش وسیلہ محمد دا نام، میری بخشش وسیلہ محمد دا نام، جن آ کے غریباں دی باں پھڑ لئی، جن آ کے غریباں دی باں پھڑ لئی۔ جگتے سہارا نہیں، او دیوا جو کوئی دنیا تے پیارا نہیں، او دیور کا کوئی جگتے سہارا نہیں، جے نہ ہوندے محمد نہ ہوندا جہاں، جے نہ ہوندے محمد نہ ہوندا جہاں، جن آ کے غریباں دی باں پھڑ لئی، جن آ کے غریباں دی باں پھڑ لئی، کملی والے محمد تو صدقے میں جاؤں، کملی والے محمد تو صدقے میں جاؤں، جن آ کے غریباں دی باں پھڑ لئی، جن آ کے غریباں دی باں پھڑ لئی، لایا بدواں نو سینے کمال ہویا، کوئی حبشی تو حضرت بلال ہویا، لایا بدواں نو سینے کمال ہویا، کوئی حبشی تو حضرت بلال ہویا، کیوں نہیں منگدے تسی کالی کملی دی چھاں، کیوں نہیں منگدے تسی کالی کملی دی چھاں، جن آ کے غریباں دی باں پھڑ لئی، جن آ کے غریباں دی باں پھڑ لئی۔ سورج اگاول پچھا موڑیا، نال انگلی اشارے دے چن توڑیا، گیا سورج اگاول پچھا موڑیا، کلمہ سونے محمد دا پڑھیا پتاں، کلمہ سونے محمد دا پڑھیا پتاں، جن آ کے غریباں دی باں پھڑ لئی، جن آ کے غریباں دی باں پھڑ لئی، کملی والے محمد تو صدقے میں جاؤں، کملی والے محمد تو صدقے میں جاؤں، جن آ کے غریباں دی باں پھڑ لئی، جن آ کے غریباں دی باں پھڑ لئی۔
صلی علی
آشنا غم آشنا درد آشنا صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی بے آسروں کا آسرا بے آسروں کا آسرا صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی دنیا تھی ظلمت میں گری بے نور تھا سارا جہاں دنیا تھی ظلمت میں گری بے نور تھا سارا جہاں پھر آپ کا جلوہ ہوا صلی علی 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 دنیا نے دیکھا چاند کو دو لخت یوں ہوتے ہوئے دنیا نے دیکھا چاند کو دو لخت یوں ہوتے ہوئے انگلی سے ٹکڑے کر دیا صلی علی صلی علی اللہم صلی علی سیدنا محمد اللہم صلی علی سیدنا محمد صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی اماں پریشان تھی میری جب آپ کی سوئی گمی اماں پریشان تھی میری جب آپ کی سوئی گمی نور نبی ظاہر ہوا صلی علی صلی علی مریل سی بکری کے تھنوں کو آپ نے جو ہی چھوا مریل سی بکری کے تھنوں کو آپ نے جو ہی چھوا برتن لبالب بر گیا صلی علی 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 پائی لعاب احمد کونین سے کیسے شفا پائی لعاب احمد کونین سے کیسے شفا پڑھ لو علی کا واقعہ صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی صلی شجر اور جانور کی بات کو ہے آپ کا ہی معجزہ صلی اللہ 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 شاہین ان کے ذکر سے پائی سکینت قلب نے شاہین ان کے ذکر سے پائی سکینت قلب نے مل کر کہیں صلی اللہ صلی اللہ صلی اللہ مصطفیٰ صلی اللہ صلی اللہ صلی اللہ صلی اللہ صلی اللہ صلی اللہ صلی اللہ
ہے مجھے انسان کا شرف ہر ایک تعریف کے لائق تو کر معاف مجھے ہے مالک تو بندہ ہوں تیرا میرا خالق تو کر اللہ 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 تاریک اندھیرے در پر ہے کالی سی گھٹائے سر پر ہے دل چور ہے میرا زخموں سے مایوس فضائیں کیوں کر ہے کر دے تو کرم کر لطف عطا کہ رحیم کریم عظیم ہے تو کر معاف مجھے ہے مالک تو بندہ ہوں تیرا میرا خالق تو مولا 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 دے دے تو قلبی سکون مجھ کو توفیق دینے کی مجھ کو مستحکم جو تیری ذات پہ ہو وہ قلبی یقین دے دے مجھ کو نہیں راز پوشیدہ تیرے سے ظاہر میں تو باطن میں تو کر معاف مجھے ہے مالک تو بندہ ہوں تیرا میرا خالق تو کر اللہ زخمی سا یہ دل پر نور بنا دین کے دشمن کے لیے مجھ کو تو جو داری تلوار بنا کر دے تو عطا رب زہد و سخا کہ زہد و سخاوت والا تو کر معاف مجھے ہے مالک تو بندہ ہوں تیرا میرا خالق تو مولا 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 اے سحر دے دے، پر نور افق سا رنگ دے دے، اندھیر نگر ہے میرا دل، اس دل کو نور ایمان دے دے، تو بخش دے میری خطاؤں کو، کہ معاف کرنے والا تو، کر معاف مجھے ہے مالک تو، بندہ ہوں تیرا میرا خالق تو، کر اللہ 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 اللہ، منزل ہے میری فردوس بری، چاہتا ہوں وہاں کی ضرب زری، اے کاش کہ شاہی ٹک جائے اس بحر کرم پر تیری جمی، اے شاہد عالم بحروبر، سبحان بھی تو سلطان بھی تو، کر معاف مجھے ہے مالک تو، بندہ ہوں تیرا میرا خالق تو، مولا 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 مولا۔ مدینہ مدینہ، وہ شہر محبت جہاں مصطفیٰ ہے، وہیں گھر بنانے کو دل چاہتا ہے، وہ سونے سے کنکر، وہ چاندی سی مٹی، نظر میں بسانے کو دل چاہتا ہے، جو پوچھا نبی نے کہ کچھ گھر بھی چھوڑا، تو صدیق اکبر کے ہونٹوں پہ آیا، جو پوچھا نبی نے کہ کچھ گھر بھی چھوڑا، تو صدیق اکبر کے ہونٹوں پہ آیا، وہاں مال و دولت کی کیا ہے حقیقت، جہاں جان لٹانے کو دل چاہتا ہے، وہ شہر محبت جہاں مصطفیٰ ہے، وہیں گھر بنانے کو دل چاہتا ہے، وہ سونے سے کنکر، وہ چاندی سی مٹی، نظر میں بسانے کو دل چاہتا ہے، جہاد محبت کی جو آواز گونجی، کہا حنظلہ نے یہ دلہن سے اپنی، جہاد محبت کی جو آواز گونجی، کہا حنظلہ نے یہ دلہن سے اپنی، اجازت اگر دو تو جام شہادت لبوں سے لگانے کو دل چاہتا ہے، وہ شہر محبت جہاں مصطفیٰ ہے، وہیں گھر بنانے مصطفیٰ مصطفیٰ، وہ سونے سے کنکر، وہ
ننا ساس گر وہ ایڑی رگڑ کر یہی کہہ رہا ہے وہ خیمے میں رو کر، وہ ننا ساس گر وہ ایڑی رگڑ کر یہی کہہ رہا ہے وہ خیمے میں رو کر، اے بابا میں پانی کا پیاسا نہیں ہوں، میرا سر کٹانے کو دل چاہتا ہے،
وہ شہر مدینہ وہیں گھر بنانے کو دل چاہتا ہے، وہ سونے سے کنکر وہ چاندی سی مٹی نظر میں بسانے کو دل چاہتا ہے،
ستاروں سے یہ چاند کہتا ہے ہر دم تمہیں کیا بتائے وہ ٹکڑوں کا عالم، ستاروں سے یہ چاند کہتا ہے ہر دم تمہیں کیا بتائے وہ ٹکڑوں کا عالم، اشارے میں آقا کے اتنا مزہ تھا کہ پھر ٹوٹ جانے کو دل چاہتا ہے،
وہ شہر محبت جہاں مصطفیٰ ہے وہیں گھر بنانے کو دل چاہتا ہے، وہ سونے سے کنکر وہ چاندی سی مٹی نظر میں بسانے کو دل چاہتا ہے،
جو دیکھا ہے روح جمال رسالت تو طاہر عمر مصطفیٰ سے یہ بولے، جو دیکھا ہے روح جمال رسالت تو طاہر عمر مصطفیٰ سے یہ بولے، بڑی آپ سے دشمنی تھی مگر اب غلامی میں آنے کو دل چاہتا ہے،
وہ شہر محبت جہاں مصطفیٰ ہے وہیں گھر بنانے وہ سونے سے کنکر وہ چاندی سی مٹی نظر میں بسانے کو دل چاہتا ہے،
اللہ 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 اللہ، رب پر صبح و شام ہے اللہ اللہ، کتنا پیارا نام ہے اللہ اللہ، نبیوں کا پیغام ہے اللہ اللہ، ولیوں کا الہام ہے اللہ اللہ.
لوگوں اپنے کام سے مطلب رکھو، لوگوں اپنے کام سے مطلب رکھو، لوگوں اپنے کام سے مطلب رکھو، لوگوں اپنے کام سے مطلب رکھو. اپنا تو بس کام ہے اللہ اللہ.
کتنا پیارا نام ہے اللہ اللہ. جب پر صبح و شام ہے اللہ اللہ. کتنا پیارا نام ہے اللہ اللہ. نبیوں کا پیغام ہے اللہ اللہ. ولیوں کا الہام ہے اللہ اللہ.
اللہ اللہ. آسانی آسانی اللہ اللہ. آسانی آسانی اللہ اللہ. آسانی آسانی اللہ اللہ. آسانی آسانی. راحت وہ آرام ہے اللہ اللہ.
کتنا پیارا نام ہے اللہ اللہ. جب پر صبح و شام ہے اللہ اللہ. کتنا پیارا نام ہے اللہ اللہ. نبیوں کا پیغام ہے اللہ اللہ. ولیوں کا الہام ہے اللہ
وسلم. صلی اللہ علی محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم. صلی اللہ علی محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم. اللہ 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 اللہ. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين. Now, mashallah, it's your time now to relay and give your experiences back so that we can all benefit. And if there's any of you who are struggling, you should remain silent. Please do ask. We shall help as best as we can. If we don't know, we shall always ask as well.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just first of all, always mention who you are, where you're from, and then inshallah you may start.
It's Brother Asif from Nelson. To be honest, I've just pretty much struggled all the way through. So reluctant to speak, obviously. But yeah, for whatever reason, I've actually felt disengaged and far away from everything.
Your answer lies there is that if you are disengaged, you need to engage then. And do the opposite is that this is why we, let alone, as Allah SWT is always engaged and wants the servants to engage. That's why He gives us these special moments, special days, special moments. During the day even, the Tahajjud time or the blessed time, any time really is blessed. A person when he turns to Allah SWT is always blessed. So, a person needs to ask is that the purpose in which I was sent for, am I fulfilling that purpose? That is why we're told to actually reflect these days. Is at least in these 10 days is we are not able to physically go to Arafah, but the symbol of Arafah means that at least in these 10 days, let me align my life towards my purpose. What is there for? And if that's the case, once I do that, then we can't physically go for tawaf around the Kaaba, but at least now let me now make sure, once I realize for surety, one is thinking, yes, this is my purpose. One is believing and knowing with certainty, yes, this is my person. This is definitely what I'm supposed to have. This is what I want to achieve. Should be my goal in life. And then making sure that you can't physically go around the top because the people are in Hajj. At least now, in these days, is that you now make sure that you adopt a path in which enables Allah SWT to be the center of your life. If we make dunya the center of our life, we make children the center of our life, we make women the center of our life, we make business the center of our life, we make all these other wrong purposes the center of our life. We should make Allah SWT the center of our life and revolve around His hukum and His command. That is one way, inshallah, which will help you to reconnect. But more easier way, you see, once the seeker was asked, what is love of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? What is Hubbullah? What is Hubbul Rasul? One of the Mashayikhs asked to the seeker, and the seeker obviously said, I don't know, I do not know really. So a simple formula for us when we feel disengaged, and actually all this disengagement happens, is when we leave the sohbah and the company of our teacher. So the answer lies is that the path in which you can attain the love of Allah and connection with Allah, the love of Rasulullah and connection with Rasulullah, there's only one path, that's Hubbu Shaykh, the love of Shaykh. This is like the spark, like a spark which actually burns. Through that spark, to the flame of love of the Shaykh, it actually diminishes all those contaminations, all those blockages, all those barriers, and connects you towards Rasulullah and His love, connects you towards Allah and His love. So here, disengagement happens better because you have disengaged yourself from a person, disengaged themselves physically and spiritually from one's teacher. Now you need to re-engage with teacher, both physically and spiritually. What that means is that attending the gatherings, Pura dunya, we're going to be, all of our lives we're going to be working. Is this what we want? All our lives we'll be eating and sleeping, being with family. But the thing is that time is departing, time is going, and if we're not getting what we're supposed to, we're not achieving what we're supposed to achieve, we will be at loss. So here is that making that time, concerted time and effort to be in the gatherings physically, and then spiritually try to connect, is like, for example, this Muraqabah that you're doing is a way in which you can connect. So when you say you felt completely disengaged, all you have to do, if when a person feels this, is think of the teacher. Were you able to do that at least? Brother Asif?
Yeah, on some occasions,
Yeah. So then you keep the vision of the teacher and then talk to the teacher. Open up to the teacher. Talk to the Sahab, open up to them, cry to them, and then ask them how they can actually cultivate istiqamat and steadfastness, and especially upon following the instructions, how I can get back. Imagine these are the days in which the most beloved, so to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will also be following the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they will also relent towards the students as well. Those who have gone far, those who are going to stay, they never do anyway. They're always thinking of students, but these are days in which even more, you get more closer to one's teacher, to one's guide, if a person is the student actually really pays attention, inshallah. So disengagement happens because you are not engaging yourself. You need to now actively engage. So physically attend, physically do the work, physically try to actually participate, but also spiritually activate, engage, i.e. think of others, be with them. Remind yourself, for example, the journeys that you've been through, journeys you've gone through, any jamaas that you've gone with them, remind yourself of them. That will help you rekindle that love and that connection. And once that, it's like a spark, you see, that the love of the Shaykh is like a spark. It is the initial creation of the flame and the love of Rasulullah and the love of Allah. You need that spark, and that spark is love of the Shaykh. So effectively, that's what a person should try to do. Do your best, and afterwards also try to keep regular contact with the mentor and try to actually review your path and how is it going and so on. So inshallah. So this is the reason why. And also many times many people, they don't really prepare. It's been said categorically that at least 24 hours before this, then try to actually minimize all the other activities, normal activities that you do, and try to increase the good activities, nurani activities, those deeds and your amals, do tawbah, astaghfar, and all the things before you come to the gathering. That will also help in the performance of the functioning of the Muraqabah as well. Jazakumullah khairan jazaa.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Ahmad from Bolton. As I transferred, I met with Hazrat Saab and we went to the Blessed Mazar in Sharif in Fez. As we approached, there was lots of nur coming from the doors of the Mazar Sharif, and Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbagh rahimahullah was awaiting us and embraced our teacher and then embraced myself. I asked them, how can I really achieve a level of consistency in my journey? And they replied to the nearest meaning, you must adopt the sunnah both inwardly and outwardly. Adopting the prophetic way in every way possible will bless you and protect you on your journey in ways you would never comprehend. The sunnah is like an armor for you for when you head out into the world and face tribulations. And then thereafter, I found myself walking with Hazrat Saab in the present day Masjid al-Nabwi, and they mentioned to me to the nearest meaning, the path to Allah is a straight one. It is yourself who seems to complicate this and make it difficult. The straight path is the easy path to travel. The problem is the self. If the self is abandoned, then the path to Allah is a straight path without complications and deviations. A traveler will have more success if they follow the instructions given to them and follow them without bothering about the self. The self is what holds back the traveller and causes problems along his journey. We then walked to the blessed Jali Sharif of the Prophet ﷺ, and we sent salam there, and the nur was emanating from behind the Jali Sharif and went onto the teacher and from them onto myself. I then found myself in Masjid al-Haram near the Kaaba Sharif with the teacher along with all the brothers from the Tareeqah, and it was like we were doing tawaf of the Kaaba Sharif. And there were some brothers walking with injuries. There were some brothers laying on the side, not partaking. There were some brothers walking steadily at the front and brothers struggling towards the end, towards the back. We started at a walking pace, which then increased to an intense jogging pace around the Kaaba Sharif. Once we resumed to a walking pace, Hazrat Saab said to the nearest meaning, during this tawaf there are times where walking at a moderate pace is preferable. Likewise, there are moments where the pace must be increased. Similarly, we must increase our strides and our intensity in blessed days such as the days of Dhul Hijjah. We must strive more so we may achieve more and Allah may bless us to levels beyond our comprehension. Allah is merciful, and any increase in our efforts in these blessed days, Allah will surely look favourably towards this. Do more, strive and struggle, increase in your amal, be better in your conduct and your character. Allah sees everything. And then after that, the Muraqabah finished. Jazakallah.
MashaAllah. Well, thank you so much for relating your experience. And MashaAllah, it's self-explanatory what has been mentioned. Allah SWT will bless you more, inshallah. With that. with regards to the element that you mentioned about the nafs, you'll find that also initially it will become problematic, it will try to actually deviate, but once the nafs is actually tended to, it actually process and speed up your journey as well. So it isn't, yes, nafs, people have a wrong concept of the nafs. Inshallah, says Harun, when you come to let us say, he will teaches actually also, he teaches how to actually beautify the nafs and also rectify the nafs in such a way that it actually helps you to accelerate towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qurb and nearness. So once a person realizes, because what happens when the nafs comes is that, as it's been said, is the path is straight. When you have your opinions, when you have your desires, when you have your wants, it takes you away and it goes twisted, circles in different ways and so on. Because if you keep on following that, that's what happens, it takes you away. So once you learn how to actually get some control, and then cleanse that, hopefully then it actually facilitates, it pushes you and accelerates you towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qurbaniness where you couldn't imagine. So really, many of us, we have a tendency to hate the nafs. Rather, really we should see it as another creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that deserves compassion as well.
Assalamu alaikum. There's a relaying experience on Zoom by the Majid who's in a hotel in Northampton. It says, Hazrat Sahab said, do not ever doubt, even for an instant, your teacher's advice. The shaitan will trick you into this. I sought forgiveness from Hazrat Sahab for this moment of weakness. They said the summer retreat is important for the next step in the Tareeqah, so you now have the right team to face the challenges. Sayyidina Abdul Aziz at Dabbagh rahimahullah said these days are special and the prescribed amals are light, so continue as you are. I then gave salam to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and recited durood, then was at Makkah and Hazrat Sahab, this is the month of sacrifice, and your sacrifice now is the time, commitments and managing everything. I asked, how do I do this? And they said, keep going, busy with tariq, work, family, etc. They said, don't worry, your mentor is keeping an eye on you. Jazakallah.
Everybody has their own journey and own role to play, and if you don't busy yourself in goodness, then nafs and shaitan will busy you in bad deeds and sinfulness. So mashallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep you steadfast. And yes, the very first instruction is that if whenever a person gets a hukum from one's teacher, guide, you should be steadfast on it and don't let doubt come in. And that is where we start going a bit here and there. Stick to that, and as a test for you as well, you stick to it, whether you understand it or not, whether you are able or not. If the instructions come from one's teacher, you do everything in your power ability to fulfill that, and that's all you can do. That is all they're asking you to do. So don't worry, a person put your reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make effort from oneself and ask help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then inshallah a person will succeed, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So, my mentor told me to report this. I transferred and met Hazrat Sahab outside a dusty old shack in the middle of a desert. It was the same shack that I saw in my vision a few days ago in the retreat. I opened the door to the shack and saw my mentor, Ustad Sajid, Ustad Ibrahim, Ustad Qais, Ustad Shah, Ustad Gulfam and Ustad Harun. They were busy in conversation / Muraqabah. Hazrat Sahab told me to sit outside. They drew a large circle around me in the sand. Sayyidi Abdul Aziz al-Dabbagh rahmatullah alayhi and Sayyidi Abdul Qadir al-Jilani rahmatullah alayhi arrived. They performed open heart surgery upon me and removed my eyes. They washed my heart and eyes in light and put inside my body. I was then instructed to sit inside the shack. Hazrat Sahab then called us all and took us to Medina Sharif. I was presented to the Prophet ﷺ. I had nothing to present them apart from the physical item of the burq, which Ustad Harun gifted me in reality. I gave the Prophet ﷺ this and I said to them, this is the only thing I have which is beloved to me, as it is from my teacher. The Prophet ﷺ was pleased with this and took me inside the Jali Mubarak. I was then dressed in a green cloak, and the Prophet ﷺ said, this is my cloak, it will instill you with the wisdom required to spread the message of Islam. The Prophet ﷺ then returned the item back to me. I then came out in the presence of Hazrat Sahab and the Ustads. Hazrat Sahab mentioned, whilst the item is with me, I will benefit from their marifah. I then asked Hazrat Sahab for nasiha. They then mentioned, look at the example of my Harun. What you may deem a sacrifice is actually an investment. He has invested his time in being in my company and thus he hath benefited with his one-to-one trip. Hazrat Sahab said, follow his example, and they merged our hands together. Jazakallah khair.
Allah will bless you again. It's more or less self-explanatory what it is.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Brother Naveed from Manchester.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So I transferred and I hadn't done my Monday Muraqabah of going to Fez. So I started doing that when I went in 2014. And I remember what a nice, pleasant time it was sitting at Maghrib time on the first day at the Mazar, and then afterwards going down to eat in the restaurant in the square and having orange juice and having soup and bread. And I thought that for myself to do more trips, and because this kind of taste of this peace and pleasure I don't get anywhere else. And even though my family aren't really interested in the Tareeqah, for me to become interested in it, it's just like if I went to the gym, I can become interested in that. So I might as well become interested in something that is more beneficial. And then over the last few days, since Hazrat Sahib gave advice to become a bit more committed in the Nisiyah on Friday, and these 10 days, I started my tick sheets last night, which I haven't done for years, and which was difficult because every time I see my mentor, he does remind me to actually physically put a tick on it. However, the first time I've done that in years was last night, and then that was really it. Jazakallah khair.
MashaAllah, thank you for your sincerity and honest your experience that you actually told us, and your experience that when you were reminiscing of the time that you had in fairs with us. May Allah SWT enable you to go again and again and be in the company of our teacher, and also for yourself to even reveal what you did reveal. One shouldn't normally do that, but as an encouragement that one tick that you're saying probably what is worth thousands of ticks, and will help you even further and make you even stronger, inshallah, Aziz, especially on these days of Dhul Hijjah as well. So it's like I said, is that it's not like any other days, it's not like the moment. Whatever goodness that you do now, it will help you to accelerate you even further, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Nabil from Bolton.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I started off to do the amals, and then as I was doing the lataifs, as I was told, everything was speeding up really quick regarding to the lataifs, and the teacher was already standing there with the staff, and also it was the first time I've seen them in this form, you can say, with different colors. It's very hard to explain. And then the teacher instructed that transfer already. As they were saying that there was a body next to the blessed teacher, and it was as though I was instructed to transfer into that body. As they said it, I did do so. As we transferred, I hugged them, kissed their blessed hands and feet, and asked them for forgiveness. And they instructed me to stop, and they asked me to hold on to their staff, which I did. As soon as I held on to it, we morphed and went into a gathering where it was as though it was a festival with a lot of brothers there and various other personalities. And it was as though Hazrat Sahib was the host of this feast. And they sat down. They asked me to sit on the right hand side next to them. The food there was it's something that I can't explain. I've never seen it before. But they did pass a bread on to me, and once I held the bread and I started to open it, the teacher took me to the blessed mazar of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbagh rahmatullah. This time it was the first time I've seen the mazar like this, very big, very open. The teacher were also smiling as they went towards Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbagh, and they brought them with me, and we sat down, just three of us, and there was also a small meal with, again, food, which is the first time I've seen it. And then after that, it was as though the Sayyidina Abdul Aziz rahmatullah morphed into the body of Hazrat Sahib, and then my soul also went to the blessed body of the teacher. And then from there, we went to various locations and did various things with the teacher. And then there's some parts which I can't remember. It was quite long this time. And then from there we went into there's a maqam where Hazrat Musa alayhi Islam met Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the teacher said, we're going up into the heavens now. And then I asked Hazrat, do we not normally go through Masjid al-Aqsa? And they said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no limits, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to bring us up to the heavens wherever or whenever they want. And then it was like a spiral light that we went into the heavens, and as we reached there was a very big gate which was never ending. And then in the nasheed, when the person was saying Allah Allah, it was as though the gate was opening. They said it 6 times, and 6 times after that the gate opened. We went into the gate, and then it was just as though we were just going higher and higher. At one point we see various animals and creatures. Seen the tree, a very big tree, which represented something which I'm not sure. Then we went further, seen a tablet. As we went further, there was a lot going on. And then we stopped where there was a sign which said Tareeqah Muhammadiyah, and the teacher entered and we got, it was like as though like a throne where the teacher sat, and there was various angels standing around. And then Hazrat began to explain what angel does what. One angel takes you to the Prophet ﷺ. One angel takes you here. There's various angels with various duties. And then from there, it was as though we got pinned out that location into Medina Sharif, where we were going to go to the Prophet ﷺ, but before we got there, we went to Hazrat Amina, the blessed mother of the Prophet ﷺ. And once we reached there, her blessed, her tears in the eyes. And then I wiped the tears and touched the blessed grave. And then it was as though we were given permission to see the Prophet. And then we went to a location which is just full of light. I couldn't see anything, and it was just physically I was feeling a lot of like presence. And then it was as though big nur just taking over. Then the location changed, and then we came to Tawaf, where Hazab and the brothers were all wearing ihram. And then Hazab said, we're going to do Tawaf now with the brothers. And then all the brothers were joining us. We did the Tawaf. There was a few explanations Hazab was explaining on the way, which I can't seem to remember. And then we got to a location right at the end, as though we done our Hajj or Tawaf. And Hazab was standing in front of all the brothers, looking into empty land, and they were speaking and saying, had tears in their eyes as the brothers started to ask Hazab, why is that you're crying? And they said, my other children could have benefited from the days of Zulhijjah, and I just wish, this is my wish, that they only listen to me and do as I say, and they can join us. And then from there's a few other words, but it's just because it was so long, I found it very difficult to remember everything.
MashaAllah, Allah bless you for this, relating this wonderful journey. Look at this in such a short space of time where we are struggling to connect, and this brother, MashaAllah, is going different places, different maqams, different heavens, different personalities. But the most important thing is being with one's teacher and learning from them. So really, it is a reflection sometimes. When I kept on saying I've never seen it, because one is that because of the blessing and the times that you're in has a certain effect upon what you experience, and also the fact that if a person has been doing, they're seeing the reward of the effects of the effort and the labor that they do. So sitting in the retreat, and then that has a process of cleansing as well, and then coming through. Yesterday you finished, you come back today. So you're really seeing reflection of oneself, and also because of the blessing of the days and nights, that is why the experience is also different as well. And inshallah, those sceneries that you're mentioning are good, and hopefully that will give you, serves as a motivation for you. In future, what you can do is also to help is that sometimes is that if you want to just relate, remember the nasiha that they give, because more important, these are sights and seeing that you mentioned as good. But more important, more precious is the nasiha that they give, so you can act upon, remember, so that after you come back from this journey, you then remember that is what the instructor me to do, and try to actually refresh that in your mind and heart. That will be beneficial. So or try to remember the nasiha as well. So it's good for in future. You shall try to bear that in mind. Yes, and what you mentioned, that is our beloved teacher, they always want all of the students to benefit. They have love for not just the students but whole of the ummah to benefit from these days, also from the teaching, achieve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They want everybody, but more importantly our students, our brothers and sisters of the spiritual path, for them to excel and benefit. But we are the ones who are actually either not engaging and not coming and not benefiting. It is no shortcoming from them, but it's from us. And that is where we need to re-envisage and refocus our journeys. We get opportunities again and again to actually be in the company of our teacher, to be acting upon the teaching. But imagine to be with Hazrat Sahib, and then also to be in these blessed days, spending not just like our brother Ustaz Harun spent, mashallah, bless him. He spent so many days and nights with them. Imagine if you could spend those moments with them as well, physically and spiritually. How blessed would it be? So everybody has that access. Spiritually, one can actually have that access. It's all about if you want to use it or not. whether you want to connect or not. Maybe you want to connect to business, maybe you want to connect to family, maybe you want to connect to entertainment and so on. It's up to ourselves. But so everything is in our court, really. It's us who are not actually doing what they want us to do. And it's unfortunate is the lacking from ourselves, which is always the thing. So we pray that Allah sometimes enable us to be, myself really, to be of those students who can be pleasing to them and give them, make us the coolness of their eyes and give happiness to them rather than sadness, and please them and put a smile on their face rather than for them to be worried every moment, every second. That sometimes when a parent, when they see a child is actually good, alhamdulillah, they don't need to worry. They have more concern, they get unhealthy, they become anxious, they cannot sleep, they become worried, just like a mother and a father of that child who isn't doing well, who isn't actually coming home regularly, who's spending time out, in bad company. They are more worried and concerned for him. So, and then this also affects the mind of the mother and father. They become restless, they cannot eat properly, they can't rest properly. So imagine this gham, this concern, manifest that by 1,000 times what the Shaykh thinks, but manifest even more about how Rasulullah seems to think about the ummah, the concern that they have. So really we should try. For example, one of the things that people do is pelting the stone upon when we go and pelt the stones in Hajj, one of them pelted the stones to the devil. And once our teacher is saying is that we try to hit as hard as we can. People try to hit the devil as hard as they can, the Jumurat. Now what's happening is that we are happy we're hitting, and for those days we're happy with 1, 2, 3, 4 pelts. But he's pelting us every day with his stone. But rather, what our beloved teacher they mentioned is that any time we commit a sin, imagine this, is that any time we commit a sin, is as if any time we go against the Sunnah, is as if we are pelting Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with it. This is how much of a thing that we should actually think, is that if we do this as if we're pelting Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with it, why would we want to do that? So one should think in this manner, that really we should try and avoid doing such things, especially in these days. Remember how blessed these days are, but also if we do something wrong, how also severe it is as well. Jazakallah khairan. May Allah bless you all for relaying your experience and you're giving your sincere and wholehearted effort in whatever you're doing. May Allah facilitate us all to become the people who please our beloved teacher, to do the amals and to do the deeds. Enable us all to become those people who are close to Hazrat Sahib, the qurban, the love and the nearness, so that we can gain qurban nearness of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, qurban nearness of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Jazakumullah jazaa. Subhanakallah bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Salamun ala al-mursalin.
I know I'm waiting for something to happen to me.